we're talking Robotech. And yes, this is Britai from Robotech. And this is an example because last year, right? Time is weird. I think it was last year. Yeah, that's not too bad. There's some paint scuffing on his head, but it's not terrible. This was the toy for the mighty impressive Britai, and it's you know, I mean, for 1985 it was okay, but it's kind of a garbage toy. Along came exactly what is time anymore. So last year, a toy company came out of the blue, as far as I was concerned, called MEPTOYS, M-E-P Toys. And from what I can tell, I think it's just one dude in Utah, and he just really loves toys, and he's a 3D modeler, and he does really cool stuff, and he got in touch with Harmony Gold and was like, I want the license to make stuff, and they let him do it. So the first thing that came out is he decided he wanted to make a Britai. He wanted to make a Britai toy, and he did, and it's fantastic. I bought one from the initial release that came out, and I reviewed it on figures.com just as my own thing because I thought it was so dang cool, and I love it. It's very accurate to the animation. It looks good. It's got a good amount of articulation in the arms. Not so much on the legs. It's kind of more of a display piece, but something you can do with the arms. Stuff you can do with the arms. It comes with some accessories like the pipe thing that he bashes in a Veritech with. Yeah, I mean it's super cool. It's approximately scaled to what the old one was, obviously with much better realistic proportions. So when the dude over at MEPTOYS did this, I was like, okay, this is super cool. I'm definitely gonna follow what you guys are doing over there. So more recently, MEPTOYS has leaned into the 3D modeling, and they've released. Oh, and I should say that along with this Britai, if you ordered it in the very initial pre-order run, which I did, it came with a free 3D printed miniature of Britai's flagship, the spaceship. 3D print, obviously a resin printer, just very, very crisp details. One of these days, I might even paint it. Who knows? So clearly, like, lots of talent, lots of good stuff going on with this company. This guy does whole. I follow him on Facebook. He'll show these random, insane things like, oh, I decided to try to print an Alpha Veritech in like a foot and a half tall, and I printed out these parts just to test it, and I'm gonna auction it off in case anybody wants it because it's just a test thing, or you know, like crazy things like that. Airden's, I just might one day. I mean, Zentradi spaceships are generally pretty easy. They're overall a dark green with like some yellow, and then you can do some purple. But Zardoz, yeah, pretty much. Or yeah, because there was one, and then like he did one to test. He was trying to test to see if he could make an alpha that could fit a 3 3/4 inch action figure, and he was 3D printing, and this thing was gigantic. And then he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna auction it off or give it away or something silly." So anyway, so he's been doing that, and then in a conjunction with a company called, oh, what is that company called? Shoot, I can't remember at the moment. There are a couple of companies out there right now who are making Robotech board games. These are straight up tabletop board games. Some of them are card based. Some of them are actually like moving little chits around on a board. Is it Shadow Machine? Well, because there's a company that makes the, you know what? Solarflare. Is that a game company? I think it's Solarflare. That sounds familiar. Anyway, there's a company that makes Robotech board games. I've seen them in person. I don't own any of them myself. They look fine, and, neat. They announced last year they were making a board game based on the third generation of Robotech. Solarflare makes Force of Arms. Maybe it's that one. Well, anyway, they were making a game for the third generation of Robotech, which is Cyclones and fighting Invid and all sorts of cool stuff like that. And as part of a pre-order campaign, they partnered with MEPTOYS to create miniatures. Now, at the time this was available for pre-order, I was very interested, but I did not go in for the pre-order. It was something like, it was over $200 to get all this stuff, and I was like, that's really cool, but I didn't want to shell out the cash for that at that point. Lo and behold, about a month ago, MEPTOYS, I don't know exactly how you're supposed to pronounce it, but they announced they're selling those miniatures individually. So, I've got a variety of them here. Now again, these are 3D printed resin miniatures. I haven't even opened them up yet at all. Packaging is basic, but who cares? But these things look amazing. And these are models and people and designs that do not get, over the years, have not gotten a lot of products. So remember, we've talked about this many times before. I know some of you are experts at Robotech like I am, some of you not so much. But Robotech was an American rebranding and retelling of 3 unique, distinct anime series in Japan. And the only common thing throughout them was that they had transforming vehicles. And so again, this guy, Carl Masek, looked at that and was already bringing anime to the United States and said, I'm going to take these three cartoons that have transforming vehicles, and I'm going to rewrite the dialogue, and I'm going to have them combined into one overall story. It's going to be 3 different generations of things going on Earth with humans fighting aliens, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so the third generation, like I said, which is sometimes called the New Generation, or the Third Generation, or the Invid War, it has people, so humans, in armor that looks like this. Now, this was a miniature that came with a model kit. I don't remember which model kit it was, but I have, so this I've had for many, many years, this guy right here. And then at San Diego Comic-Con a couple years ago, remarkably, I found a guy selling, he had a bunch of them and he had painted them. Maybe I'll paint mine one day. Maybe. But this guy was selling them for like super cheap. So anyway, now, why do they wear armor that looks like this? Well, because, oh, and here's the original action figure for Scott Bernard, hero of the third generation. So you need to wear this type of armor because it has attachment points for your Cyclone. And again, this is an original toy. This thing does transform. I am not going to do it. Don't ask me. It's not happening. This is very old, very fragile. But you ride the motorcycle around, and then when you need to fight, press a button, and the motorcycle unfolds, and it wraps around the person to become power armor, essentially. And the different parts of the motorcycle attach to those parts of the armor. In Robotech, it's CVR3 armor. In MOSPEADA, I think it's called Ride armor. So it just depends on if you're an original or if you're a Robotech person. Now again, there haven't been a ton of products about this over the years. We've got the original, which are these guys. We've got some model kits. There was a large scale. Oh my god! Yeah, this thing is a huge pain to transform. That's one of the reasons why I'm like, no, not transforming it ever again. So there was a larger scale version but again, it looked super clunky. More recently, there have been a couple companies to make higher end collectible versions of these, like again in like large action figure scale, very expensive. Another company that made a big statue version that's hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So really, the only other main thing that came out that was mass produced is Toynami did another line of these eye men that I've shown off before. So they had a series of the characters outside of their armor, and again, it's the style. I mean, there's actually a fair amount of detail in their outfits and stuff, which is kind of cool. But they're blocky, goofy looking figures. But along in this line, you got the basic figures. Then you also had them in their Cyclone armor. And again, a little bit chunky, but these actually look pretty cool. And here they're just all obviously it's all the same sculpt with different paint, but in the cartoon there are differences between there are three different versions, three or four depending on different versions of the armor that have slightly different proportions, different weapon systems attached to them, things like that. Yeah, they're chunky. You can see the wheels fold up on the back. They're super cool designs. So these are the miniatures for them. So again, I just took them out here. I'm going to take off my glasses so I can see them a little bit better. Now these are 3D printed, so there's very slight. I can see the little striation marks, but they are. I mean, you got to look really closely to see them, and you can barely feel them. I have seen in a couple of places there are supports that need to be cleaned off, or places where the support's attached, but that's an easy fix. So here's one of the standard armors, and it's launching mini missiles from the forearm there. But I mean, for this size, the fact that this was 3D printed, obviously on a resin printer, it looks fantastic. So I think this one is technically Scott. He and Rand have this same basic thing, although Rand usually has a different pistol that he carries. This one is the one I was most excited about, of course. So this one has the most amount of supports still left on it, so I just have to pop those off and then do a little trim. But you can see, I mean, they added like their little effects of he's kind of like skating forward, and this is Lancer, who has the Saber Cyclone with these shields on the forearm that have these energy blades that come out, or blades with like an energy field. That's super cool. Cyclone Armor has limited flight capability. It has some mini missiles, depending on the exact model, but like these chest panels can open up and shoot out some more mini missiles. In motorcycle mode, you'll see in the front there are either the mini missile launchers attached to the front wheel, or it can mount some sort of energy weapon down here. Sometimes up here on the. Again, they're just a lot of different slight versions and variations. Alright, so we've got those two. Okay, yeah, so this is Rook. Oh no, I'm sorry, Rand. Rand. He's got the little pistol. I can't remember the name of that one. Just a little energy weapon. But again, really nice that they oftentimes, because Scott and Rand have the same basic Cyclone, the only difference usually is that Rand has this specific gun. If a company is going to make some of those, like they'll be the exact same thing, just with a different gun. So it's nice that they actually gave them very different sculpts, very different poses. We won't get into we'll talk a little bit about the bad guys, the Invid. So in Robotech, it's Invid. In MOSPEADA, it was Inbit. And they are an alien race of slug-like creatures. And then here's Rook with her slightly more feminine armor. Technically, she had like the reconnaissance version of the armor, which wasn't a good excuse to make it more slim and feminine. And again, she's got a different gun there. These are cool. Like I said, a little bit of cleanup on supports to do, like that little piece right there. Just a little bit of stuff to trim, but I really like these. Yeah, so the bad guys they're called Invid. They are slug-like creatures on their home planet, and then they have the special ability to have like what do they call it? Punctuated evolution, where evolution usually takes millions of years, thousands of generations, things like that. But sometimes there'll be like a sudden leap forward in evolution. Essentially, that's the gimmick of the Invid. They can sort of spontaneously evolve, and then they have a leader who is essentially like a crazy, powerful, psionic being slash entity, and she can evolve herself at will and also her species, which is handy. So they have their own war machine. Now again, it in Robotech, it turns out that how do I condense all this story into a small version? Okay, so the Invid partly have their abilities because on their planet there was a plant that becomes referred to as the flower of life, and this plant has all sorts of crazy energy properties. Kind of like the Hollow Earth stuff in Godzilla versus Kong, I guess. But anyway, you can harness this plant, and it can create almost never-ending energy. It's super cool. It creates something called protoculture in Robotech. The whole thing. So this race of space-faring, essentially humans called Robotech Masters, find this plant. They send one of their guys to go and get it. He sort of seduces the head slug lady. It's complicated. They get it. The Robotech Masters use it to create protoculture, this energy source. The Invid get mad. They start evolving to fight back. The Robotech Masters create the Zentradi to fight them. They're giant humanoids. The Invid continue to create more and more advanced war machines and evolve their pilots. Until eventually they find out that, aha, the flower of life, it can grow somewhere else. And it grows on Earth. So the Invid come to Earth, take over Earth to grow their plants and live their life. Turns out they like to experiment on other people, not just themselves. So one of the storylines in the show is there's this character, Dusty Ayers. And he is this weird nomad dude who has a really cool bike, and so this is a miniature of him. Look, it's got a missile launching sidecar, and he's like a cyborg that the Invid have been performing experiments on. Again, that's a support there, so I just gotta pop that off. I know they don't have a greenhouse, but what they do make, they make these things called Genesis pits, and they're these giant holes in the ground, essentially, where they do these crazy experiments and mix and match DNA. We see this in the cartoon, and then there's actually some really good information and material about that in the role-playing game, which, yes, is from Palladium, but what are you going to do? So there are whole adventures you can do in the Genesis pits where, like, you fight dinosaurs and cyborgs, and basically almost anything can appear in a Genesis pit. Zentradi could be in there. So, Invid have also not gotten a lot of products over the years. I handful, but not a lot. Notably, from way back, they had these. So this is a Scout, Invid Scout. You can tell in Invid Mecha they're very distinct. They're very bulbous and rounded shapes. They all have a sensor eye, and if you shoot right basically in the game or the cartoon, if you shoot right through that eye, it instantaneously kills the pilot who's right behind it. They all have claws and these big old claws on their feet. So yeah, this is from also again from 1985 from Matchbox. This one held up. It's in really good condition. My Shock Trooper is pretty good. It's got some weird paint stuff going on, and I lost the canopy decades ago. But otherwise, it's not too bad. This one has claw action. Look at that. Fearsome. It could also, you could use the claw action to grab onto somebody if you wanted. So anyway, so they had these, and again, not a whole lot else for Invid stuff over the years. A couple things here and there. Whoa. Yeah, this line, they actually produced a lot of these toys. And yeah, like Arsenal Roy says, it's not uncommon to see these even still today. They probably won't be in very good condition, but you can find these for not too much money if you're willing to get one that's again not perfect, or if you need to fix it up a little bit. They are out there. There also have been companies who have made bootlegs of these, so that helps why there are more of them out there. In fact, very, very strangely, so Robotech.com, the official Robotech website, which is of course owned and operated by Harmony Gold, a couple of years ago started putting up listings for this line of Matchbox toys from the 80s. And everyone's like, what are they? How? Did you just find a bunch of these? Because they were the original, what looked at first glance to be the original packages for these toys. Selling them for a lot more money than they cost originally. But if you looked really closely, the boxes were almost all in Chinese writing, and it didn't say Matchbox anywhere on there. Yeah, Zardoz, exactly. But this was like the real official company selling some knockoffs from China. It's bizarre, very strange. Yeah. But it was a way for people to get essentially these toys brand new, and people jumped all over that. They even sold some Veritex. The big blocky one with the opening cockpit that you could put a figure in. Which I have, but it's at the very bottom of a display case. I can't get to it right now. Anyway, so that takes us to MEPTOYS, who have given us Invid figures. Now, this company has several different versions of Invid figures in different scales. So depending on if you want these for something like this board game, or if you want them for miniatures, they have them in like a couple inch scale, and then these that I'm about to show you that are smaller. And just announced the other day, they're doing a large one. And I haven't seen all the details. I don't know if it's going to be action figure like or a model. I'm not exactly sure. But in these little guys, and they actually did a whole bunch of the different versions. So this is, man, I can't remember all my different Invid mecha, but this is one of the elite ones. It's got these big rounded cannons over it. Now these are a little bit more static. They're not quite as posed dynamically as the Cyclones, but they have really weird bodies, so I have to imagine it would be a lot more work to figure out interesting poses for some of these. Like I said, I'm just looking at these for the first time. Yeah, some support stuff I gotta clean up on here, but otherwise looks pretty good. And even on here, like you can see, or can you? Maybe not. Like on the upper thighs there, I can see some striations from the printing. But again, if I run my fingernail over it, I can't feel it. So once that's primered, that will be invisible anyway. Yeah, the Invid have a very, very distinct look to them. So here, so that's the mini version of that big toy that I have. That actually looks better. That's cool. That's a great looking little mini. Oh, wait. I think, is this the shock trooper? And this is a armored trooper? I don't know. I don't remember. Something like that. They have basic names. And then they have names in their own Invid language, too. It's neat. And then this is the Scout. What it's actually supposed to look like. The old toy is not really the right shape with these legs, and then it can add this booster thing for flying, so that's pretty cool. These little energy blasters up at the top, and then so here is a regular trooper, and then here's the trooper with the guns attached to the top. And then there are, again, depending on what scale you want, here are some itty bitties. Little itty bitty, teeny tiny Invid. They're very small, very cute. These are absolutely fantastic. I'm very excited to have these miniatures. This is not the full collection. They have even more. There's an even larger size. Hey, MXA Ghost, we're looking at new Robotech miniatures. There's an even larger scale, slightly larger, a couple inches, of actually alphas and betas from this same series. So I'm gonna buy some of those because they look super cool and I need them. There's one more Cyclone as well for Sue Graham, a journalist in Cyclone Armor. So she's got like a video camera, which is kind of cool. But yeah, these are neat. Do they have Titan scale figures? Not in this line. But I mean, I have essentially Titan scale Veritex. I've got a Yamato that's 1/60th scale. That's a pretty big one. So again, compared to size-wise, compared to a Space Marine. Yeah, pretty cool. And then they also sent me, I'm not sure if this is available for sale, or I think this was another promo for one of the other figures. Yes, MXA Ghost. As long as you're not trolling me, yes, you can paint these. These were made to be board game pieces for a board game that they partnered with. But of course, you can paint your board game pieces as well. But yeah. So here is. So this is Britai, but in the costume the uniform that he wore in the Sentinels cartoon/comic book series, which is really, really neat. Oh, thank you, MXA Ghost. They are chipping and fading pretty badly, so I need to re-up. So this was, like I said, I think. Oh no, that's what it was. So they did the original pre-order for this figure. Like I said, came with the spaceship, and then I believe they offered a translucent version because they do like there are holograms in the show, so it was like the holographic version. And I think if you ordered the holographic version, you got this with that, maybe something like that. Anyway, some kind of promotional thing. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. So like I said, I literally just got these in yesterday. I am going to take some pictures, share it on figures.com, because these are great. They should get more. They should get more press. People should know about these. Oh, there's also, again, from that came with a model kit. There's an itty bitty tiny ride armor guy, and then of the various alpha toys, which we'll talk about on another day when I actually get mine, but some of the alpha toys came with little pilots as well. So yeah, pretty neat stuff. So yeah, for anybody who's a Robotech fan or a fan of the original MOSPEADA anime, which I've never seen. Obviously, I've watched the Robotech version. Their website is a little clunky to navigate, but if you go to the shop, essentially there are 3 listings for these figures at the different scales, and then you just have to do a drop-down menu to pick which one you want. If anybody's interested, there is a link to the website. But yeah, like I said, they're really neat. Like I said, it's about like this one guy. Seemingly, they have other plans. They've shown other things that they're working on, and I very much hope that they continue to. They're one of the people who work with Harmony Gold and actually produce really good stuff. So hopefully that continues. Move that. All right. What is next? Thanks, Nightbot. Stepping on my link. Log in with Twitch. Sure, log in with Twitch. Like I said, I got 2 boxes in the mail yesterday. Watch out, little Invids. Where is? Hold on, give me 1 second here. Settings. New. Insights. New. Seriously? Okay. Whatever. Or as my kids would say, whatever. We've looked at plenty of Star Trek Attack Wing before. We just looked at the upcoming faction packs last week. And again, oh, I wanted to show. So remember, the original expansions looked like this. So there was just 1 ship in a $15 package. Woof, that was a lot. But faction packs are way better. So sort of like going back a little bit, they actually sent me... So they sent me the 2 that just came out. So this is the... Technically it's a Dominion faction pack, but it's mostly Cardassian content. And yes, though, there is a Klingon bird of prey. Gul Dukat has had an incredible career. He's a Cardassian warmonger, but over the years, he will go into battle with whatever he can scrounge up. Sometimes a state-of-the-art Cardassian warship, sometimes a freighter, sometimes a torpedo, like whatever he can get his hands on, he'll go into battle with. So this is Gul Dukat's bird of prey. Yes, I'm sorry, Patriot. What word did I say? Yeah, So again, this is more Deep Space Nine content. I'm very excited to dig into this one. Some nice new repaints of the Cardassian ships. They're sort of like these kind of weird shape to them. And then the other new one is, I talked about this for a minute as well. This is the Vulcan pack. It's called Live Long and Prosper. Vulcan specifically. And again, you might say, well, wait a minute. Those are Vulcan ships, the Dakir class. But those are Federation ships. And yes, because Vulcan is part of the Federation. And like I said, there are some... and this is even like in canon in the shows, there are some all Vulcan crewed Federation ships. Seems a little weird, but so they are. And yes, this is a Constitution class ship. It's not hard to say. You can just say the whole thing. Constitution rolls off the tongue, and then a nebula. And then it says blah blah blah. With a plethora of new characters for the game, including Murak, Solok, T'Pol, T'Pau, Chulak, Vorik, and T'Pol. T'Pol and T'Pol. And then there's a photonic autocannon, Catrick Arc, the Stone of Gaul. So lots of cool stuff referenced from... So this is stuff from Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and yeah, all over the place. I'm kind of surprised these look a little bland, but again, when I get to the review, we'll see what they all look like. Yes, Zardoz. Exactly like Arsenal Roy said. Playmates has made a couple of Q action figures in various scales. In fact, I have one. It would take me too long to get it. It's upstairs. It's actually in my closet where I keep all my other toys. But my father was a big, like I talked about before, my father was a big Star Trek fan. Loved Next Generation. My dad really liked Q. And so when I found an action figure, it's their larger scale, so it's about I think it's like 10 inches, 10 inch tall. And it's a figure of Q in his essentially Starfleet captain uniform. So it's basically a Picard figure with a Q head on it, and he's holding the gavel, and it has a voice chip, so you press its back and it says humans and bonjour mon capitaine, and what's the third thing it says? Anyway, it says something else, but that was a toy that I bought for my dad, I don't know, like 30 something years ago. It still works great. So yeah, super neat. So I get to look at that anytime I go into the good old toy closet. And then Saints fan says, at Walmart I saw an Evil Dead 2 statue. Ooh, cool. So yeah, more Attack Wing content coming soon to a screen near you. At Walmart, that's interesting. The big box stores have definitely been getting more into... You know, let's open this up. Getting more into the collector's market for stuff, so you'll see more adult action figures. Again, not that they're naked or anything, but typically, like at Target, Funko will have its own dedicated area. NECA will now also have a section. So yeah, you can actually find some McFarlane stuff as well. So you can find some decent non just little kid toys at these stores. Alright, so what the heck is this ship? Well, let me tell you. This is a solar sail vessel built by ancient Bajorans, featured in Deep Space Nine. And Captain Sisko, among other things, is a historian. And he studies Bajoran history, and there's this tale that the ancient Bajorans built these solar sail ships and traversed nearby space and got to another planet. I forget the exact planet it was. Nobody believes these tales. How could they have done it? So he sets out to do it himself. He uses authentic materials, building processes. It's essentially Thor Heyerdahl, if you know who that is in the real world. A dude who believed that, or who read the stories, did all the research, and believed that ancient peoples did more migrations than we realize now, and actually set about building ships just like ancient people did, and figuring out how and where they could have gone, and did a bunch of these journeys, and in fact went to a bunch of crazy places and proved that they certainly could have done it, gotten all over the place. So again, this is very much a Thor Heyerdahl story, and he finds out that traveling along that specific route, there are some sort of solar winds that this thing can pick up and accelerate it to a previously unknown speed, and it did make the journey. So it was a cute episode. He does it with his son. It was nice. So now you can play it in Attack Wing. Now, as you'd expect, this ship is not a very powerful combatant, but it does give you some interesting cards. Yeah, Ned Saints fan, and he did several different ancient peoples in their routes where they could have traveled to. Oh, Cardassia, that's right. So these are the older cards, which are a little tougher to... They're not as smooth as the more recent ones. There. Okay. Just always the organization part. Okay. So first of all, it gives you a mission that you can play called Ion Storm, which is neat. Oh, that's cool, Zardoz. You can actually recreate this in the game. So the Solar Sailor, it's a measly 12 points, very cheap vessel. Its stats are garbage. It has 1 attack die, 2 defense dice, 3 hull points essentially, and no shields. That's not great. It can only mount 1 tech upgrade, and it can evade and it can scan. So, not super good. Now, the specific Denorios version of it is still only 12 points, can mount 2 tech upgrades, and says, when defending during the compare results step, you may place an auxiliary power token beside your ship to cancel 1 hit. Okay, well, I mean, at least it's a way to not get hit quite as much, but you don't really want auxiliary power tokens. What are you going to do? And then its movement is... it's pretty maneuverable, but it is very slow. Its best maneuver rate is a 3. Yeah. Yeah, so this thing is only in 1 episode, and it didn't have a huge impact in the shows. Alright, so what do we get? We get a generic Bajoran captain, and we get a Korem La'an. Guessing. A Korem La'an can field up to 2 Bajoran elite talent upgrades. So whatever ship he's on, he unlocks additional slots for elite talent upgrades. Right, no, it has... Yeah, I don't think it has any standard types of engines. It just has these sails that can pick up. Well, hold on, let's read, because there's more about it here. So elite talents are the ones that look like little medals, and ships can never mount elite talents by themselves. A captain has to have the ability to add an elite talent, which is kind of cool. And elite talents they range from like really intricate things that you can do with ships to just totally game-breaking stuff like, when you die, come back to life. Kirk has that one. Things like that. Alright, so we have Daenerys. Action. Discard this card to target a friendly ship within range 1 to 3. That target ship may perform an action listed on one of that ship's crew upgrades. If the crew upgrade is Bajoran, treat this action as a free action. And this can only be purchased for a Bajoran captain on a Bajoran ship. Alright. That's situational, but could be good. Emissary. At the start of your activation phase, you may discard this card to remove all disabled upgrade tokens from all Bajoran upgrades deployed to all friendly ships within range 1 to 3. Okay, that's pretty cool. If you were doing a whole Bajoran fleet. Or if you had Bajorans on independent ships, things like that. Legendary Hero. You may discard this card at the start of the combat phase to gain +2 attack dice and +2 defense dice for that round. Can only be Bajoran on Bajoran. So that you could actually use on the Solar Sailor to get a little bit of combat proficiency, at least for one round. Possible. Yes, sailboat, exactly. Hey, Maxine Robin. Now, the ship has 3 tech upgrades. Because again, the Denorios specific version can mount 2 of them. There are ways that you can potentially get more, or you can just choose from these. So what do we have? We have, let's do it this way, Tachyon Eddies. I guess that's how it travels. When you reveal your chosen maneuver, you may disable this card to add up to +3 to that maneuver speed. Inflict 1 damage to your ship if you add +2, or inflict 2 damage to your ship if you add +3. This can only go on a Bajoran Solar Sailor. Alright, so you get a temporary, potentially huge boost of speed, but it's going to hurt you in the process. That's something. Main sails. At the start of the game, place 2 shield tokens on this card. When your ship suffers damage, remove these tokens first. You cannot use these tokens to activate any other card abilities. Okay. So main sails here equal shields. And finally, Solar Sail Powered. After you reveal your maneuver dial, you may disable this card to treat any revealed maneuver as a green maneuver. Also only for the Bajoran Solar Sailor. Okay. That one's kind of fun. You can make anything green. Actually, that's really helpful to go along with its special ability. Because again, you don't want... Auxiliary power tokens mean you're limited as to what maneuvers you can do the next round, and you can't perform an action while you have one of those tokens. But when you perform a green action, it gets rid of that token. So these two things together are actually pretty powerful. Because you can pop that off, get the token, then perform any maneuver. This will turn it green, and you'll get rid of the token. So that's a good combo. Yeah, this is a very niche ship. As you saw, most of the upgrades can only be applied to this ship, or have to be a Bajoran captain on a Bajoran ship. And there are a few of those that aren't too bad, but I'd call this more of a finesse piece to try to figure out where and when it's going to actually do some use in a game. 12 points is super cheap for a ship. I mean, you can spend way more than that just on upgrades for another ship. So, I'm glad to have the mini. I don't know that I would ever actually play this in a game unless I was doing some kind of really weird, really specific Bajoran build. But it's cool. I thought this one did come with another Cisco captain, like a specific, but apparently it didn't. There are several other versions of Cisco out there from other sets, though, so that's fine. Okay, what's next? Should we keep it going with Star Trek stuff? Let's do it. It was, as you all saw, it was First Contact Day yesterday. Oh, I should have found... I wonder if I have anything from First Contact specifically to open. I don't know. This is not specifically from First Contact, but it is from one of the Star Trek movies. So Eaglemoss, we know it, we love it. This is the Federation Mission Scout Ship number 80, so this is like halfway through what we currently have. I don't even know what number they're up to now. Remember, Eaglemoss also does figures in addition to ships and vehicles and things, but their figures aren't always so great. Man, I just saw somebody post about an Eaglemoss figure, and I just was like, ooh, that does not look super cool. I don't know. Anyway, anybody recognize this one? Kind of a different style than what we often see. This does have some. It is reminiscent of a couple of other Starfleet ships we've seen over the years, but it's not obviously the most common design elements. It is a scout. It is operation in the 2370s, a length of 24 meters, and a max speed of warp 5. Furthermore, 1 pilot, 5 to 10 passengers. It does have phaser emitters and photon torpedoes, so it is decently armed for a ship of its size. Rugged and nimble, like a runabout, but more agile and robust. And yeah, if you guessed that this, or if you knew that this was from the movie Insurrection, Star Trek Insurrection, you'd be right. This is the ship that Data steals and goes down to the, what planet is it? I forget. Baku, yes. Yeah. Well, this is, yeah, so this, right, no, I'm sorry, that's right. So, yeah, Data is in the, yes, Data is in the, this one. Shuttle, and they go down to get him. Yes, and defeated by a musical, that's absolutely right. So, yeah, definitely more of like a beefy design, kind of looks more aggressive. And then they'll tell you how they designed it. Hatches, how it's going to dock together, which of course is crucial to that scene. And then some background information on making that movie. That movie was okay. You know, it was okay. Lots of background information on that because, oh look, he's singing. Okay, that's fine. Alright, let's see what the actual ship looks like. Yeah, and of course I had to get it because it is a Federation ship, even though it's a weird one. Is it taped? No, good. We don't need no stinking tape. So what else did they do yesterday for this special day? They dug up the ghost of Will Wheaton to host a bunch of little panels online. Revealed Q. They had John Delancey on. They had Patrick Stewart, Jonathan Frakes talk, and Data's name, Brent Spiner. So they were all talking about stuff. They had a couple other actors. This is a cool design ship. The little kind of sunken in deflector there is a little weird looking, but that's okay. Yeah, you know, Will Wheaton, he's also done and said some problematic things over the years too. So I don't. Yeah, he's a weird guy. He's had a weird career in a weird what do you want to call it? In a weird place, but I don't know that he deserves more than he's gotten. I'm not sure. This thing is cool. I like it. It's a little drab, especially when I put it around when I display it with my other Starfleet ships. Yeah, Arsenal Roy, and then like he said some uncouth things over the years, and I think people rightly took him to task for it, and rather than try to talk about it and get to the bottom of it, he'll just run away and turn off his social media. He just deleted his Twitter and never came back a number of years ago. I mean, look, I didn't follow it enough to know all the details, just that kind of stuff. So you see, it's got like the little docking things. So yeah, this is a decent chip. It's pretty heavy. It's got a nice metal core inside, although the outside is it's a plastic shell. That's good. Anyway, so yeah, I just honestly him hosting the Star Trek panels yesterday. It's the first time I've seen him in years. So I was a little bit surprised at that. There was a what do they call it? There was like a first look little video clip. I mean, I guess you could call it a teaser for Discovery Season 4, which I'm very excited about. Oh, they finally revealed. We knew that Janeway was going to be in this new. It's a Star Trek Nickelodeon cartoon. Oh, Fader, interesting. Yeah, I typically don't watch any kind of after show thing. Obviously, they exist and they're popular in some circles. So that makes sense that I wasn't aware of that. Um, but yeah, so they're starting this later this year. There will be 2 animated Star Trek series, which is pretty interesting. One is Lower Decks on what is now Paramount Plus. It is a definitely an adult animation. But yeah, this new one is Prodigy on Nickelodeon, or with Nickelodeon, however that works. And it looks to be about a group of kids from various different species, alien species, and whatever they are, wherever they are, they're studying or they're helped out by an emergency training hologram, and it's Captain Janeway, and it's voiced by Kate Mulgrew. Is that her name? Yes. I think something. But yeah, so that should be interesting, and I am excited to have Janeway back in Star Trek. She was always good. That was her name. Okay, cool. Yeah, right. And I mean, we knew that it was expected that it was going to be some sort of interesting way that they were going to bring her back into the show. And yeah, they just revealed that she's some sort of a hologram. I think, at least. I think that's what I saw yesterday. And yeah, Janeway with kids. And so yeah, we've only seen the one image, and it's her looking very young with a mug of coffee, of course. So yeah, I'm tentatively, I'm open to that one at least. The only real disappointment I had yesterday is that they didn't show anything for Strange New Worlds, because that's the show I'm most excited about. Yeah, Mexican Robin. I mean, seemingly so she's like a holographic program based on Janeway in theory. Yeah, I am. Oh, Zardoz, I'm so interested in that one. I thought all those characters were great on Discovery, and seeing what they can do with it on its own. Hopefully they really, yeah, Aerodinsk, exactly. Hopefully they really take it in cool directions. And we can hope. But yeah, oh my God, Anson Mount, he was so good, so good. as Pike. Like I said, like I instantly had to reevaluate my list of favorite captains because he was so good. Right, and then yeah, the announcement of an upcoming Star Trek convention, 2022, Chicago. Oh, Mexican ramen, yeah, the Star Trek the motion picture. I gotta watch that one again one of these days. It's been a while. No, Robert, April, you stay in the corner. I know there've been so many Enterprise captains. Yeah, Aradinsk. It's as far as I know, it's the trio. So it's Spock, Ethan Peck, and number one Rebecca Romaine will all be on there. Oh, Nerdy Duck, that's cool. From everything I've seen, he seems like a cool dude. Of course, it's all Hollywood garbage, so you never really know. But I follow him on Twitter, and he'll do light political stuff every once in a while, but it all aligns with things that I think about. So uh, it's all good for me. I know he's like into horses and animals and things. But yeah, seems like a good dude. Yeah, and I'm also very excited to see more of that design of the Enterprise that we've seen in Discovery because I think it's an absolutely beautiful version of the ship. It's really funny. So we've talked about this before. Unfortunately, there are a couple of let's call them slices of the overall Star Trek fandom who don't like Discovery for one reason or another. Most of the reasons are bullshit, but not all of them. Whatever. Uh, it's funny being in the modeling groups and seeing all of these old white men who are like, "Oh, I don't like Discovery, but I do like that Enterprise." Grumble, grumble, grumble. It's like, all right, that's fine. Just be quiet. It changes eyes. Yeah, I mean, hey. Uh, oh, Mexican Rama. Yeah, that's interesting. Watching the first movie, then Nemesis, then the, then the reboot. That's definitely weird, but hey, that's fine. Yeah, Aaron's they're definitely not great. Yeah, that's fine. Just be quiet. Look, everyone can have their own opinions. Just don't be too annoying about something you don't like when other people like it. That's what I'm trying to do these days. I've talked about it. There are plenty of things I don't like, and I'll say, look, it's not for me, but if other people like it, then that's great. And there are reasons why you can dislike something that are reasonable and not shitty takes essentially. No Dark Crystal watch along. But like I said, I do like Discovery. Is it a perfect show? No. When I rewatched it, I still don't like the first couple episodes. But overall, I do like the show. Does it mess with some things in as far as the overall Star Trek continuity? Yeah, but whatever. Continuity and lore is made to be rewritten. It's not, nothing. Nothing is monolithic. Every property that keeps that continually adds to every end of its storyline changes things. I don't get too tied up with that kind of stuff. Okay, so yeah, today was fun. Just talking about Robotech and Star Trek. As it turned out, I got some other stuff around here, so I'll save it for next time. What is happening today? Today, of course, is Doomsday. So tune in this afternoon over on the Jessica Nerdy channel for June, maybe some maybe related to Dune, tangentially Dune. We might mention Dune. Aridin says, if you want to try and get me to watch something you love, don't do it by telling me how much better it is than something else. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, yeah, you'll say, oh, this is like this other thing. But I think it's fair to say, this is like that other thing, but I like this one more. But yeah, I understand what you mean, though. The hot dog hat looks cool. Hey, with my new freshly shorn head, I might be able to wear it. Let's see if anybody cool is on. Yeah, and Zardoz, that also is not necessarily a bad thing, I think. When there's something new in an overall property that you like, but it's like, look, here's something, it's different. It's not like the other stuff that we've done before. But yeah, it takes some getting used to, but that's cool. Yeah, Orville is Orville's pretty specific. I think that Orville came out at the exact right time when there was no Star Trek happening. It was definitely a fill-in for a void that a lot of us were feeling. And yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. As soon as Discovery picked up, and then we started getting all these other things, I was like, Orville, I don't really need that anymore. For me at least, it just sort of filled in when I was missing Star Trek. Yeah, and again, people like it. We are getting more Orville, right? At some point, there's supposed to be some more episodes coming out just on Hulu. I don't think it's happened yet. Like, they keep promising it. But I'll probably continue watching it, assuming there's more. Like I said, I don't know exactly what they did start putting that show in some pretty crazy storylines. Oh yeah, see, Aridance, that's probably a specific kind of person who would say that. And again, I'm not saying it's bad, but okay, later this year on Hulu. Yeah, I guess, I mean, man, and they've been promising this next. I don't know if it's technically a next season or like half a season or what, but it's been a long time coming. Let's put it that way. This next batch of Orville. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Orville. I found Orville to be a good Star Trek substitute when there was no other Star Trek on. I really get the feeling watching it that Seth MacFarlane just wanted to make his own Star Trek show. And I almost feel like it was a compromise to make it as comedic as it is at times. Because there are entire episodes that have very little comedy, and it's like I'm watching a Star Trek episode. This is a plot that is directly out of Star Trek that I could see happening in specifically like a Next Generation show. And those, I think, are the better episodes, at least in my opinion. I thought the sillier ones are, they're okay too, and of course, every Star Trek series has had its own silly episodes. That's not something that is unique to Orville. Yeah, Fader, I would agree with that. And yeah, I mean, geez, there are some episodes of Orville that are really freaking dark, and there's war, and yeah, so it's definitely not all goofy comedy if you haven't watched it. Yeah, and some episodes were very reminiscent of storylines that we've seen before. But again, but Star Trek's done that too. Star Trek has rehashed old storylines, so yeah. The The social media commentary one, yes. There. Oh, I got to go to the Orville. What was it? Was it called the Orville Experience? I don't know. Every stupid thing is called the Experience, but the Orville thing that happened at Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con in 2019, which was pretty cool. And I got to go in as press, so I got to go in early and check it out. That was fun. They had a lot of props and costumes and things from the show. They actually had the full size miniature that they made. It was a really interesting story about how they made it, because they built the miniature and then they scanned it, so then it could all be digital assets or something like that. It was one of these kind of weird things where like there is an actual full size studio miniature, so it's like 3 or 4 feet long of the Orville, but everything in the show is digital, something like that. Or like they made the digital version and they print. I don't know. But it was cool, and they gave us food, which was nice. Oh yes, yes. The holodeck porn stuff was, yeah. But again, if Orville brought new people into Star Trek, then that's awesome. I'm all for that. Eaglemoss is doing an Orville line. So far, there's in this size, there's an Orville and the Orville shuttle, and then there's going to be an extra large size Orville, and in theory, they're going to do the other versions of the ships from the what is the Federation called in Orville? I always forget. Something coalition of planets. I can't remember, but it's the Federation. I do like the ship designs. I think the ship designs are very cool. And again, the the pedigree of Orville is all people who worked on Star Trek before in one capacity or another. Oh yeah, MXA. It's not hard to keep me. It's not hard to keep me talking. And yes, Fadir, that's true. Orville just kind of says stuff that we always assumed, or that they couldn't really do on network TV, back in those days. All right, what is it? Somebody tell me. Why don't you tell me what's the Federation in Orville called? Something coalition. That episode where the whole, I'm just gonna call it coalition for now until somebody tells me, but when they fight against the robots, and you see all the different, like the variations in the designs, how many warp doohickeys they have and the different sizes, that was cool. I really appreciated that there are actually a bunch of different designs of the ships. Yeah, yes, Arsenal, right. Exactly. Their version of the Borg. Yeah, Zardoz, that's so in Discovery and in Picard, if I remember correctly, there are what we call in our family adult words. We don't call them bad words. We call them adult words. Personally, Planetary Union. Thank you very much. Personally, I was not a fan of the adult words being thrown around in Star Trek. Not that I have any problem with adult words being used in things, but there have been so many great Star Trek shows over the years that haven't used that. It it felt a little out of place to me, and I've always liked the fact that, well, yes, there are some dark elements in Star Trek, and there are certainly very serious storylines. I can just pop on a Star Trek and share it with my kids. You know, they might not get all of it, and I might have to explain things and stuff like that, but I don't necessarily want them to hear certain words these days. But again, that's super personal preference, and yeah, and real potty mouth from Picard. I mean, again, like it's. I definitely feel like a lot of that is just for shock value, which is kind of a bummer. Some of it is very. Some of it does feel right in some of those episodes, especially with Tilly. And it's like, oh, that is what we're all feeling. That does sort of cap, our feelings about the action. But overall, I wish they didn't have it. But again, that's personal preference. I don't want to sound like the old fuddy duddy because I certainly watch plenty of adult things with adult content, and I'm totally fine with it. But yeah, whatever. What are you gonna do? Okay, let us see who is out there to raid, and then I should get going. I do have other things I need to do. Yeah, air dance. I think there is an element of that. It was more right. I know. Yeah, there's right. Those colorful metaphors. I mean, language has its place in shows and stuff. I don't know. And it also does take me. I don't know why this. I'm gonna try to stop this from bobbling around too much. Although I'm not really moving. It kind of. I do get taken out of things when there are our curse words and things that take place so far in the future. Because yes, some words will never leave. They'll always be there. But it also I do like when you get shows like Farscape and their ilk and Battlestar Galactica that come up with their own curse words. Because I feel like that's a little bit more. Obviously they use that to get out of certain censorship issues, so there's a production reason for that. But I also feel like that it makes sense to me. Yeah, frack and frel from I mean, Jesus, Farscape has a whole bunch of curse words in it. Uh, if you add them up over the over the seasons, and I don't know, that feels right to me because again, I think of slang terms, and even like slang terms that I would use that like my parents wouldn't recognize, and then thinking, going back 30 years, yes, some words stay the same and stay in our overall vocabulary, but especially slang terms come and go so much. Just make up your own. Nah, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all good. I don't want to inhibit people's language. All right. We're gonna raid my buddy. Ryback Stun. It looks like it says that he's playing a game called Outriders. I have no idea what Outriders is. In fact, I assume it's a game. I don't know. There are some other people online right now, so if you want to go and check out somebody else, be my guest. Uh, Becca Scott is doing something with Magic the Gathering. Uh, yeah, there's a bunch of people online. So if you want to go do something else, do it. Hit it up. It's all good. But I'm gonna raid. Like I said, I'm gonna raid my buddy. Everybody have a great Tuesday. What is happening? That's weird. It says the raid has been canceled. What happened? Is he not on? It looks like he's on. Let me check this real quick. Anyway, have a great Tuesday. Come and check out our show over on Jessica's channel later on this afternoon if you can. Otherwise, I'll see you back here tomorrow for Warhammer Wednesday. Continue work on the night. Very excited. Yeah, I'm gonna go into the actual raid menu, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it looked like he was on. Maybe just didn't like my typed command. I don't know. Twitch is weird. What are you gonna do? No, the raid menu doesn't show me. Ugh. My God, why? I gotta do everything manually. Come on. Okay, this should work. All right. Thanks everybody. Sorry for the technical glitches. It happens. I'll see everybody later. Okay, bye. Something went wrong again. Okay, Twitch doesn't like me. Why am I getting error messages? Okay, I'm gonna try one more time, and then I'm just gonna close out everything. You already have a raid in progress. Oh, cool. Okay. Somehow there's already a raid in progress, even though nothing's working. Fantastic. Yes, feel free to go check out his stream if you'd like. If not, that's totally fine. I'm just going to log off because nothing's working. Okay, bye, everybody.